Well, good evening, everybody. It's forecaster Mark Spencer from Ohio News and Weather. Usually about this time of night, you should see a video from me. We're not going to do that tonight. We're generally just going to focus right on this severe weather threat. So you'd also usually see some graphics in the morning. You won't see those in the morning. We're going to kind of just delay all that because we could have some ongoing severe weather early. So we don't really want them getting lost in the mold of warnings that get posted and anything like that. I'm going to kind of run through what the overall kind of setup is. We'll look at a couple models as well, and we'll talk about some of the threats. I'll answer some of your questions. Just keep in mind, it's just me tonight, kind of running this solo, so I don't have any help in the chat. I also am not going to answer questions. What's going to happen in my backyard at such and such time and such location? We just can't do that. The accuracy, first off, just isn't there for it. And secondly, if I did that, I would be on all night and still not answer everybody's questions. So barring that, let's get right into it. So we do have a severe weather threat overnight tonight and a better one tomorrow. Generally speaking, damaging winds are the main threats overall. There is a threat for an isolated tornado and a couple cells that could produce some large hail as well. The tornado threat is fairly low. I think overall there's probably we'll call it a very slightly higher chance tomorrow compared to overnight tonight. Overnight tonight is more of a damaging wind and then perhaps some large hail with storms that are beginning to develop as we speak. And we'll get to the radar here in just a moment. And then tomorrow we're going to have a very large, what's called a mesoscale convective system, or an MCS, that's going to move across the state. And depending on what pages you follow outside of Ohio News and Weather for any weather information, or depending on what platform you're on social media, don't be surprised you hear people start tossing out the word derecho. I've heard it probably a half dozen times this year. We haven't had one yet. Keep in mind, we don't really classify a storm as that until it actually meets that status. So this is kind of like tornadoes almost, right? We don't assign a rating to it till after it happens. We have to meet the criteria to have a derecho first. And it did change about a year and a half ago. They updated the criteria slightly. It needed to be met to actually have a derecho. So that all said, you're not going to hear me say that. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. But the Storm Prediction Center is not using that wording. They are generally more or less talking about a few storms that could produce wind gusts in excess of 75 miles an hour. What is that? That's kind of a hint, hint, wink, wink. Hey, the potential's there, but we're not confident enough to say that it has high potential of happening, which is pretty much how I feel. We'll call it low right now. We need more than just a couple 75 plus mile an hour wind gusts to meet that criteria. So we're not going to get into that. But let's get into radar currently. We're looking in northern Indiana right now because this is where the activity is pretty much starting to develop. However, we do have storms starting to fire across west central Ohio as well. Models did have that occurring, but models have been crap today, guys. I'm going to tell you right now. This morning stuff, it had this morning's storms and everything, but after that, just forget it. Like we just kind of had to throw them out, and what happened basically. We're kind of there now. Models had a really nice system across central Ohio, just tons of storms basically right now, and it's not there. Is it behind? No, it had them blossoming over Ohio at about 7 p.m. and it just did not happen. That said, the environment we're in right now is super, super unstable. There is a ton of energy you're looking at right here. You can't see it, right? There's a ton of energy. CAPE, convective available potential energy. It's the amount of energy stored in the atmosphere that is available for storms to use. It's one of those ingredients we need. We also need lift. More lift, the better. If we can take the energy and lift it into the air, that's great. What else is nice? Wind shear is usually good. Change of wind direction and or speed with height. That usually helps, gets things going, mixes everything up, right? So it's kind of like making a cake almost, right? Putting the ingredients in and mixing them together. Kind of the same deal. And we have a ton of CAPE. I mean, a ton of it. We have more than we need. It's like buying 10 pounds of flour when you only need a cup. All right, that's pretty much what we have right now. We have tons of it, so all this energy to use. We have good lift, that's great, plenty of lift. We have some wind shear, excellent, that's great. What else do we have? Not a lot of movement otherwise. Everything's kind of following a stationary front. So, you know, these storms aren't moving super fast. They have good downburst potential though, so strong wind, damaging winds, and also a flooding risk as well, because we've got a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, tons of moisture. So good flooding potential as well, some flash flooding certainly possible, especially with these slower moving storms. These are all going to continue to develop overnight and move off to the southeast, which is why the Storm Prediction Center did issue a severe thunderstorm watch across western Ohio until 2 a.m. It is possible that we could see further downstream watches, but I think it's really going to depend on what this cluster of storms ends up doing. So something just to watch. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning right now across portions of far western Ohio, and let me get the details on that pulled up here. Bear with me just a moment. I believe it's going to expire in about 10 minutes. Yes, it expires at 9:15. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern southwestern Paulding County and northwestern Van Wert counties. And it's mainly damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. We'll zoom in on it here just real quick. And really, it's pretty much the cell that's just south of the warning. It's kind of right in here for the most part, but this whole thing has been kind of developing too. So right now it's not super crazy, if you will. It's a lot of rain, definitely some wind. We'll go ahead, we'll put up the velocity on this in just a moment too. And yeah, so not a ton of wind. Right now we're looking at gusts. They're going to be more or less right at about severe levels there. Just about. We're close. And it's right about 55, 58 miles an hour in some spots. So this whole complex, you know, is certainly capable of producing some wind gusts, but you know, it's not super duper organized, so they may you know, kind of just be here and there. Hey guys, Molly, we're not going to talk about particular cities and stuff. I mentioned at the beginning, I'm sure you probably weren't here. So we're just going to talk about the overall threat. I can't break down and sit here and tell you every little thing in the chat. What about here? What about there? And all of that. And so we just don't have that type of time. I'm sorry, but it's just not something we can do. Moving on here, we're going to just expand back out, and I do want to flip the radar over here to Wilmington real quick. I was watching these develop here before we went live. I was getting the show all ready and put together, and these things started popping up across west central Ohio and even central Ohio a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what these do. We've had multiple rounds of showers and storms move through this afternoon, so the atmosphere is a little bit worked up. Part of what that does is it leaves outflow boundaries from the prior storm, so it's something for these things to kind of use as potential energy sources and the way they'll move. Also some flash flooding. It's hard to see. I didn't get a chance to update this on here, but pretty much right in here around the watch, except for northeastern Ohio, there's a flood watch in effect. It's all of southwestern, south central, and southeastern Ohio, and even in the portions of east central Ohio. Pretty much everything outside of northeastern Ohio is under a flood watch overnight as well. Plenty of rain has fallen. There were some reports of some flash flooding earlier this afternoon as well. So it'll be really interesting to see exactly what these storms do here over the next little bit, and if they do start ramping up and becoming stronger, severe, or a bit more organized, then that could pose some issues. But if they don't, then it'll kind of be interesting to see how it affects things downstream that are still across northern Indiana and as they move into western Ohio this evening as well. So again, models pretty much crap this evening, unfortunately. it just did not really do a great job. Banner is scrolling across the bottom. I do have it up, and as you can see right now, we don't have any active alerts. They did drop that severe thunderstorm warning. You'll still see the box there on the radar, but it looks like they're getting ready to cancel that pretty much any moment as we go here. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at, well, let me do this one here, guys. Let's do this one first. So this is our Storm Prediction Center outlook for tonight. So we have this slight risk across much of Ohio into western Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Now, one thing about these things is they work on a different clock. They work on a clock that runs from 12 Zulu to 12 Zulu. And you're going, what in the world is that, Mark? What are you crazy? No, they work. They go on a slightly different clock. So it goes more based on just a lot of different things, but it's kind of old school. So it goes from right now, because we're in daylight saving time, 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. the next day. And when we're on standard time, it's 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the next day. Looks like we did get a new severe thunderstorm warning there in Van Wert County. So we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. I'll flip back to the radar and we'll take a look at it. So anyways, this is for all the way until 8 a.m. Tuesday morning. Now what will happen is overnight they will issue a new day one outlook. This will still be valid until 12Z. But they'll issue a new one, and it pretty much more or less will supersede this. But they kind of overlap a little bit. They have a reason for it, whatever it might be. They got a reason for it. But just know, right now, generally speaking, the biggest severe weather threat tonight is mainly going to be along and west of I-75, or excuse me, I-71 rather. That's primarily where our watch is too. So for the most part, along and west of I-71 right now. As you get further east, it's kind of to be determined, because it depends on what happens overnight as the storms move through and move into this area where we've had a couple rounds of storms already today. The atmosphere worked over. It's night. It's going to be late by the time it gets here. What's going to happen? Again, the model's not been very helpful with this system, unfortunately. So it's just kind of a crapshoot right now. Let's go back to the radar just real quick, guys, and we'll take a look at this new severe thunderstorm warning here. And it's for the southern side. This storm still kind of blew up here a little bit. So southwestern Van Wert County now, severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45 p.m. Again, we're looking generally at 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. The storm is near Decatur, Indiana, moving east at 30 miles an hour. So here's who is affected: Van Wert, Ohio City, Middlebury, Wilshire, Wren, Dahl, Glenmore, Pleasant Mills, a couple others there in there. Ohio City, Abanka, Wren, Wilshire, I think I said Wilshire, Middlebury, all pretty much in the path of that storm. So we're generally looking at this cell right here. Boy, red's a bad choice, Mark. Let's try that. All right, cool. There we go. So let's clear all that. Yellow's a little bit better. So we're looking at that cell right there. And if we go into our velocity here, not that one, but let's clean this one up a little bit, guys. My bad. So I got a different setup here where I'm using another computer for the radar compared to previously where I streamed and ran the radar off the same computer, which for you guys, you didn't notice a whole lot, but for me, it's like a ton of back and forth. And it's just a little bit easier to have this on a separate computer here rather than trying to do everything off of one. So I'm going to flip through. Let's do that. Okay. And then let's hit back. Let's go velocity. There we go. So we're looking right in here. The part of the reason, guys, you know what part of the reason is why it looks so bad? It looks so bad because I'm on a Wilmington radar. There we go. That's a little bit better. So we're going to see some velocities here. They're pretty much near 60 miles an hour. So as we get into this kind of lighter red and pinkish color, that's pretty much 60 miles an hour for this color table. So that's really what we're looking at here. It looks like a little bit of inflow out ahead of that as well. Not looking at anything too concerning there in terms of rotation. That's one thing we don't have a ton of right now, is we don't have a lot of turning with height. So what we'd like to see with a setup that is conducive for tornadoes is a change in wind direction with height. So from the surface up, we want to see the winds change direction. Nice common one, surface winds out of the southeast. And as you go up, you get another layer that's winds out of the south, and as you go up, another layer with winds out of the southwest. That usually produces some good turning. You don't want too much shear because then it pulls it apart. So you got to be really careful with looking at that. Where if you have opposite direction stuff, that's going to be more wind damage. You're going to get more linear things. So you want to see a kind of a gradual turn with height, especially in the lower levels. If we get too much oppositional wind, now we get wind shear, and again, it kind of tears things apart. It doesn't really create the spin you need either. So that really just isn't there with these particular storms. That said, we did have a couple tornado warning storms in southeastern Ohio earlier this afternoon. So it is possible. The threat is pretty low. All right, bear with me just a moment. We will keep an eye on this storm. Again, not seeing anything that's particularly concerning, but we will keep an eye on it just in case. It could decide it once. Well, okay, so if you look at storm relative velocity here, this may be a little bit more than what's inflow. But look, do you see overall here how things are kind of turning in a little bit? That may be trying to wrap it in a little bit there. Now here's the problem in this part of Ohio. We're looking pretty high up in the atmosphere. We're not close to the ground. That radar sweeps there, that beam, it sits several thousand feet up. That's the base. So we don't know what's going on for pretty much about 3,500 to 4,500 feet below it. Almost a whole mile that we don't know what's going on below because the radar beam can't reach it. So this could be a little bit higher up where the whole storm is kind of spinning, but at the same time, we could be seeing something developing too. So keep an eye on it. That's all we can do. So you just stick with us, and if this for whatever reason does get a tornado warning, obviously we'll stop our coverage and I'll just cover that for you guys. But that is in the Van Wert area. Now, for the most part, that storm is going to stay south of the town of Van Wert. I know you're in the storm, but for the most part, it's right over the state line, moving towards Wren right now. Glenmore, Abanca, Dole, Ohio City would be more in the path of that storm, especially the wind. But we'll definitely keep an eye on it for you here over the next few minutes. Again, it's very gradual, but it's something to watch. I'm not super concerned about it, but we will keep our eyes on it here for you too. Looking more further west here, or excuse me, east here, definitely a couple more storms firing across west central and central Ohio here as well. So again, this is something we're going to continue to monitor, see what they do. Right now, these are general thunderstorms with some heavy rain and some frequent lightning for sure. There'll be a lot of lightning, probably some louder thunder too. Again, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, so a lot of particles in the atmosphere with the sound to bounce off of. All right, let's go back here to our risk. I'm going to try to get this to go to tomorrow here for you. Hang on just a moment. Get the right screen up. Here's tomorrow. Excellent. Cool. That worked. All right. So here's tomorrow. So tomorrow's threat is going to be a little bit more concerning. We do have an enhanced risk across central and southwestern Ohio. So pretty much from Lima to Columbus, south towards Portsmouth, and then points west. Slight risk in yellow covers a good portion of Ohio, and then up here in northeastern Ohio we have this marginal risk that does include Cleveland and Akron, Canton, Youngstown, Mansfield, and Toledo. This is probably going to change a little bit come tomorrow morning. This could get broader, it could get a little bit narrower. Kind of depends on what we see models do overnight with data and what the Storm Prediction Center overall confidence level is as we head through the morning hours on Tuesday. Now, with that said, I do want to throw up here a couple other things here, so bear with me. You're going to see the screen change a little bit. Here's our tornado risk for tomorrow. It's low. This is 2%. This is if I put my finger somewhere in here, I have a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of where I point, anywhere. That's really low, okay? I mean, that's really low. So when we say isolated tornado, anywhere in here is possible you could see an isolated tornado. Where would it be? It would be with any cell that develops out ahead of this line that we're expecting, or something embedded right at the leading edge of that line, what we call a QLCS tornado. It's a quasi-linear convective system, kind of one of these spin-ups that'll briefly happen right at the leading edge of that line. They're very hard to detect sometimes on radar because they do happen very rapidly, and many times they happen between radar scans. So the time we see it on radar, it's done happened. So any of those scenarios are possible, but again, very, very low tornado threat. Can't rule it out, but not really expecting a big threat. What's going to be the bigger threat? Well, there's not much of a threat in the way of hail. That's great, but wind is going to be the bigger threat right here. And you can see here we actually have some hatching as well. So this is the potential for some severe gusts. This is they have two different levels. They just changed it this year, and I'm still adjusting to it, even though it's August. They have two different levels. So this is the lower of the two. But we also have the probabilistic coloring here, right? So we have 30% chance of a damaging wind gust happening within this area. And again, the hatched area, we have a chance of a higher wind gust potential as well. So when we see this, we know we're dealing with generally a linear type system, a lot of damaging winds, with this type of setup that they got drawn on the map. And this is pretty much where the models have much of the weather moving through, the storms moving through tomorrow. Again, they didn't do a great job today. Kind of hard to trust some of it tomorrow. But regardless, that's what we have. So that is what the Storm Prediction Center is putting out here as we go into Tuesday. That said, what are our threats? Well, again, it's damaging winds for the most part. So we'll put it up here. I got this pretty high. I can't put tornadoes at 0. I have them up here just a little bit, again, more isolated. Nothing too crazy. I could even bump that down in the green really if I wanted to. Hail, again, not a big threat, just with any the discrete cells. Flooding is possible. Some localized flash flooding is certainly possible. Especially with anything slow moving or just anything out ahead of it that can just dump a wall of water in a hurry is going to cause some issues. But it's not going to be everywhere, which is kind of good. Okay, moving on here. Let's look at our future radar. And you got to bear with me here just a moment because, well, for one, I got to get it to show the right screen. I got too many of the same screens up, guys. I'm so sorry. Bear with me here. There we go. Excellent. All right, so let's see. Is this one complete? It is complete. Let's see if this is done. That might be done. Let's see here. No, that's not done. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to 23Z. And we'll do this one. So this is one model's take. I haven't seen it yet. So there's those storms overnight. They're going to move out. Here's the line of storms coming in tomorrow afternoon. That'll be more concerning. And this actually is more of a late morning, early afternoon threat on this model. Actually, let me look at, you can't see the timing because I can only put so much on the screen, but right now it's saying about 8 to 1. That could be interesting. There's those storms. They move out by about 2, 3 a.m. and then stuff starts flying around at 8, 9 a.m. again and then diving off to the south and east. There'll be more behind it. I'm going to zoom out just a touch for you guys, and then we're going to freeze this. Boom, right here. So this is 1 p.m. right now. So it's 1 p.m. tomorrow in this model. And we have this cluster of storms. And then back up here is another cluster of storms as well. Let me actually move that just a touch here for you guys so you guys can see it a little bit better. There we are. And we'll go down. Forgot my banner's in the way. I can't see the banner on the radar. So up near Rockford, Illinois there. That's another line of storms that's going to race southeastward Tuesday afternoon and evening. We do have to watch that one. That one could be interesting. Now let's take a look at another model real quick, because they're all a bit different with this setup, and it does make it quite interesting. I haven't seen all of this one yet either. So we'll zoom in a little bit, kind of like right in here. So here is, right about now, stuff blowing up again about 7, 8 a.m. There's that line. And then there's the line up near Chicago to South Bend around about the same time, 12, 1 o'clock. So we have a bunch of storms here, 7 a.m. This is, I think, going to be a bit overdone. It is similar to the other model. And then things kind of blow up over the next 3 hours from Chicago to Indy to Cincinnati. So pretty much running I-74 there, right? And then all the way up to Rockford. And then as we keep going, this continues pushing off to the east, southeast a little bit. And then you can see some additional development pretty much from south of Valparaiso down into eastern Illinois, down towards Urbana here. There's some additional development. This could be really interesting if this does happen, but this model also had a massive cluster of storms already ongoing right now across central Ohio, and it just did not happen. So that's kind of what we're working with right now. Some of the slightly better model runs are due to come in well, relatively soon here. So if I'm around live, I'll be sure to go ahead and play those, but let me see here. Nope, that's not. That's from this morning. Okay. Let's look at another. This model is going to go away here in October. But let's take a look at it. I actually haven't looked at it yet. So there's our storms tonight. Everything by tomorrow morning. And then off to the west, it's messy. And you can see there's our cluster there. That develops and then kind of dissipates about as fast as it develops. Yeah, I'm not too sold on that. The model has not done great this summer with some of the severe weather stuff. It's been very hit and miss. So yeah, I'm not particularly sold on that model. There's a couple other short-range convective models we could look at, but to be honest with you, a lot of them are experimental and use a lot of the stuff we've already looked at. So I'm not going to bore you with all of that. But just keep in mind that, you know, we are going to see things move through. It is going to be a very changeable situation as we go through the day on Tuesday. So I do want you to keep that in mind. Again, timing for tomorrow, it's generally all day. It could be a couple rounds of storms. So it could be morning, 7, 8, 9 a.m. and then again later in the afternoon and evening. It's been really rough on the timing because, again, the models, as we just saw, they're kind of all over the place. They did not handle today's event very well early on. They're not handling their current event right now super great. They were more aggressive than what we've actually seen. And again, we got plenty of ingredients there. It's just there's just not everything coming together quite enough that we need to really see things blossom. That said, that doesn't mean it couldn't happen in the next hour or two. We don't need the sun with this type of setup to have storms. As a matter of fact, we've had storms overnight the past couple nights. And again, models didn't handle that great either. So they're just not doing a great job right now, unfortunately. That happens, especially with some of these oddball setups we've had this year. It does happen. So there's only so much we can do with it. But again, I would just keep your eyes and ears open. And a good way to keep track of the radar, our free Ohio News and Weather app. Also keep track of any severe weather alerts. Because that would be great. You have multiple ways to receive alerts. That's one great way. Those are really, really good. job of spitting out alerts. So definitely download that if you don't have it. The radar up here on the screen, if someone's looking at this one right now, is not the current radar. Note it says future radar. It doesn't have time on it yet. We're working on getting time for the banner up there, but it's a bit of a project. So anyhow, we'll go back to the current radar in a moment. I did want to focus just real quick on rain amounts as we go through the day, really the week. We're going to get a lot of rain, especially across central and southern Ohio. So some of the amounts here, how about 3, 4, 5 inches of rain, 5.3 inches of rain. This is by Saturday morning, guys. So this is going to take a little bit, but here's the deal. Multiple rounds of showers and storms are going to kind of start taxing some of those areas, streams, creeks, and a couple rivers as well that typically run shallow. So flooding will be a concern throughout the week. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't drive through flooded roadways. If you see a road close to flooding, find the way around it. So do keep that in mind that we could see some locally high rainfall amounts. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere. We have the stalled out boundary. Things running boundaries get really difficult to predict, especially where does the heavy rain occur. Really depends where the storms move. So it really gets difficult with that. Let's go back to the current radar here. I know I got a couple of people asking here about a couple things, so we will go back to that in just a moment. Let me get the right screen up here. My bad. There we go. And there we are. Okay, cool. So here's our current storms right now. Nice storm right around Bellefontaine, Russell's Point. That's got, again, a lot of lightning. There's even lightning, well, look how far out ahead of it is. There's lightning just to the east of Urbana from this storm up here. So I bet that's a good 20 miles away. So keep in mind that lightning can strike well out ahead and even behind storms. Look it up here. Got some behind the storms as well. So this storm is starting to show signs of really developing a little bit better. And by that, those lightning strikes out ahead of it, that does tell you that that storm is strengthening and that we have a pretty good environment for that to continue. So a lot of lightning with this. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of lightning. Again, you're going to hear some pretty loud thunder. We have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere across the entire region, really, because we're in the warm sector. So a lot of molecules for the sound to bounce off of. And we also have a new severe thunderstorm warning here as well. I do want to read that to you since we are live tonight. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Auglaize and northern Mercer County till 10:15. It's generally 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hails, the main threat. Storms near Ohio City moving east at 35 miles an hour. So Wapakoneta, Fort Shawnee, Cridersville, Rockford, Mendon, Buckland, Yiannopoulos, Chattanooga, Tama, St. John's, Neptune, all in the path of that storm. Again, just damaging winds and some potential for some large hail in this particular cell. Let's take a look at who issued that one here. That one was Wilmington. So we're right on the edge here. We're looking at the Wilmington radar right now. We're right on the edge with this storm between Wilmington and northern Indiana. And I'm going to be honest with you, neither of them have a great view of this area. Kind of what we call a bit of a radar dead zone. We have very good coverage above 10,000 feet. It's awesome. Below 10,000 feet, not so much. Yeah, some good winds. Could see some winds there. Definitely near 60 miles an hour, maybe just a touch better. Again, we're looking at loss, so does it make it to the surface? That's really the question. Does it make it to the surface? All right, let's try to get rid of that for a second. I do want to get some, as they come up, they're kind of nice to have. Back to here. This is a pretty good storm up here south of Van Wert, heading towards places like Rockford, Spencerville, Delphos, and even eventually towards Lima, Cridersville, Wapakoneta, St. Mary's. Even though St. Mary's is not in the warning, if that's headed your way, it could stay just north of you. Bellefontain's got a good storm, but not severe. We do have some cells popping up in and around the Columbus metro, both sides of it there. But again, this is also looking at northern Indiana. There's a little bit better view of those storms. Most of these are non-severe. The only severe storms right now are pretty much right here along the Ohio-Indiana border. And even the storms here in Indiana right now, most of these are not severe. There are a couple severe warnings earlier, but those have since been dropped. And those storms almost look like they be weakening a little bit. And this cluster near Van Wert to Decatur, Indiana, and then near Bellefontaine seems to be growing a little bit. So we'll just kind of continue to monitor that here as we continue our live chat on our severe weather threat for tonight and tomorrow. Is the storm in Lina going to hit Bellefontaine? Well, it's possible. Yes, it's sort of heading that way. So again, a lot of rain, a lot of lightning, probably some pretty loud thunder, but for the most part in Ohio, much of this is non-severe. So stuff over like Perry County, in and around Columbus, up over Bellefontaine, all of this is non-severe. These are general thunderstorms. They could be a bit strong nonetheless, but we're not reaching the severe levels right now. Do want to scroll in up here. The radar here is, again, pegging some rotation in with this storm in and around Delphos and Spencerville. But this is going to be pretty high up. And yeah, there is some there. But this is really high up. I mean, we're we're above 5,000 feet on the radar being easy in this area. Let's see here what it's pegging. Yeah, not high confidence. And then if we go to, again, yeah, and it's going to be high up on here too, but nothing more shear-like than it is more tornado signature-like. Yeah, I think that's going to be more of a shear thing. And kind of where it's at, not quite the right spot for it, but okay. We'll continue to monitor that. So we'll just continue on this here for a few minutes, and we'll watch that. I am monitoring the chat. Again, I can't answer everybody's this county here, that when's it going to hit. I'm sorry if you have, crazy storm paranoia, PTSD type stuff, but I can't, you got to make your own decision, right? So I can't tell you what to do. All I can do is tell you what's happening. You got to decide what to do. So I can't tell you what to do because I don't know you. I don't know things about you to make a decision as to here's what I think you should do. I can tell you that, hey, if we get a tornado warning, hey, go take shelter if you're in the path of the storm. That's that's great. That's not really telling you what to do. I'm strongly suggesting you do it, but you can do what you want. You want to go outside your phone, try to find it, hey, that's fine, but it's not fine. But again, I can't tell you what to do. So I can't exactly tell you what's going to hit and where because, again, models over for this evening have been junk. So out the window, they're gone at this point because the timing of this, what's happening now, isn't what's showing on the models. So I can't really give you one versus the other. What's going to happen with this as it moves into Ohio? That's the next question. As it moves further into Ohio, what's going to happen? I don't really know because, again, models don't really have this happening. And we got a ton of instability here. And we're seeing it trying to take some advantage here and tap into this. But it's also very possible that we don't get a whole lot out of this either. Why is that? Well, it's just the nature of the beast. So again, really hard to say. When's it going to hit my backyard? I can't tell you. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to hit your backyard, especially if you're off in eastern Ohio. There's too many things that are going to change between here as it gets into western Ohio and eastern Ohio. It just does not work that way, unfortunately. Wish it would, but it does not have anything there. Someone mentioned another reporter has said it was trying to spin between Decatur and Wren. We did talk about that earlier when they issued the previous severe thunderstorm warning, that there was a little bit there. But again, it wasn't really much. kind of right in here. Right in here. And even up towards Toledo. This whole area of Northwest Ohio has not great radar coverage. Your radar is out here outside of Webster, Indiana. That's the northern Indiana one. And then there's one up in Detroit, which is actually north of Pontiac. It's not even in Detroit, it's north of Pontiac. The sweep you see here is off of Wilmington. And then we have another one in Toledo. Excuse me, Cleveland. Cleveland. Wow, I read Toledo. That's my bad. It's out in Cleveland. So Cleveland doesn't really get out here. This Northwest Ohio is going to be Northwest Indiana's territory. Down here is going to be Wilmington's territory. Oh, don't forget down here we have Indianapolis. That's down here. Indianapolis radar sits southwest of Indianapolis. It sits near the airport. And then you have Detroit to our north. Everything here, yeah, we have radar coverage. We got great coverage above 10,000 feet. Bunch of radar sites will cover 10,000 feet and up wonderfully. Well, that's over 2 miles up. I'm not seeing what's happening from the surface until we're 2 miles in the atmosphere. Not super helpful, right? So here, again, we don't have great coverage lower levels. So what we're seeing is we start seeing some low-level spin, but we're starting to see more mid-level type stuff happening. And yeah, storms do spin in the mid-level sometimes, and it's usually more gradual. That's not unusual. It's when we get the lower level spin that starts to get more concerning, especially if it starts to tighten up. That then shows more signs of things like, okay, now we're thinking more potentially tornadic. It is possible that we could see something develop. It's certainly possible. But again, we don't have great support for tornadic weather tonight. A little bit better tomorrow. Tonight, not a ton. Where we're at, we do have a very low threat for it. It's not non-existent. It's just not very likely. Now, that said, again, it would not surprise me. For some reason, they decided to throw a tornado warning on that if it continues to show some spin, only because they're going to do it as a better safe than sorry, again, because they can only see several thousand feet and up, and they can't see from that to the surface. So they're going to do it more as a erring on the side of caution than, yeah, we think something's happening. Sometimes that's the way it works, especially in this area where we just don't really have wonderful radar coverage. We would love to have better radar coverage here, but radars are very expensive. Where do you put it? Who operates it? Who's maintaining it? Who's paying for it? All this fun stuff. We just don't have that, unfortunately. I'm not really worried about the radar in Charleston, West Virginia for northwestern Ohio, Lori. Yeah, I know it's there, but it's not going to reach up to northwestern Ohio unless it's in the long range mode, which is out to 248 nautical miles. And I'll tell you what, that's worthless. That mode is only there to create the national composite that you see on a lot of phones and things like that, and that updates every 5 minutes. Again, I can't talk about when exactly the majority of stuff's going to hit. It all depends where you're at and what you want to believe model-wise. So again, really, yeah, there we are. Circleville going to get hit, you think? Guys, I've talked about this. I can't answer these questions. There's another. I just said I can't answer these questions. And what happens? Brittany, hi Brittany. Somerset. What about Somerset? I don't know where Somerset, Ohio is. I don't know. I don't have a memory of where's every little town. I know where some crazy little towns are, but not all of them. But yeah, again, so yeah. Hey, if you want to talk, Ben on YouTube, you want to talk to 13ABC about buying a radar, go right ahead. It'd be awesome. There are companies out there that do sell radars to TV stations. It was a cool thing back in the mid to late 2000s. TV stations buying these cheaper X-band radars, throwing them up on the roof. They didn't last too long. It's expensive. Not only that, the band they run on, so it's this radio frequency we're sending out, right? X-band is like super noisy for weather radar. You get a lot of interference and clutter. So it also doesn't have much range, doesn't have a lot of power. So it's cool. Hey, my TV station has a radar. Yes! I can see about 30 miles effectively. And if we put one up here in Toledo, we're going to get down to about Bowling Green, and that's about it. Then you get into different bands. So C-band and S-band are both very popular. I believe I'm going to get this wrong. There's going to be some guru, some ham operator in our chat tonight. I believe the Weather Service radars are S-band, but they might be C-band. I believe they're S-band. So if someone knows, go ahead and correct me in the chat. That's fine. Yeah, we did get an extension there on the severe thunderstorm warning. Thank you. Until 10:30. And actually, it's going to be kind of this newer box. It's not really an extension. So southern Van Wert and southwestern Allen County now, severe thunderstorm warning until 10:30 p.m. That's the storm over Ohio City, and it's moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. They're saying just 60 mile an hour wind gusts is a threat, but that's Lima, parts of really the east side of Van Wert at this point, Delphos, Fort Shawnee, Spencerville, Elida, Ohio City, Spencerville and Allen County, Middle Point, Elgin, Yoder, Hume, Monticello, Glenmore, Dull, Abanca, which are pretty much already getting impacted right now. So let's do this. That's going to be this box. This is what they're drawing right here. And that's a really, really bad drawing. So that's the new warning here. This is the old warning here. These are going to expire because the brunt of the storm is now moving out. I'm going to look at the velocity on here in just a moment too. This is a look from Wilmington. Again, it's really northern Indiana, but they do look at each other's radar. So, you know, it's there. They can see the other radar sites as well, which is super helpful. But let's look at the velocity here in Wilmington, especially when we start getting into where we're running the border between two Weather Service offices and we're primarily they're going to use their radar. This looks pretty good. If this was low level, I could see a tornado warning on this right here. I could certainly see we have nice spin right in here. But this is probably several thousand feet up from Wilmington. Several thousand feet. Probably over 5,000 feet up. It's not super tight. It's kind of broad, but it is good. Again, if this was lower level, if we were talking this is 1,000, 1,200 feet off the ground, I wouldn't be surprised someone pop a tornado warning on it. It would not surprise me. Well, what's Northern Indiana say? Now, keep in mind, Northern Indiana's radar kind of has to shoot through the storm to get here. And so it's not going to have a very good view of that, and it doesn't. It has a really, really terrible view of it. So we'll just turn that off. All right, so it has the shape kind of like the Wilmington radar did, right? So we have this notch right here. This is going to be inflow into the storm. So it's a pretty mature storm right now. And we got that spin, but again, the Wilmington radar does not, or excuse me, the Northern Indiana radar does not show it because again, it's got to shoot that radar beam through this entire storm to get to here. Oh, what's going to happen? That radar beam's getting all this precipitation. It's going to attenuate a little bit. It's going to return a different signal. You're not going to see it. So usually when you're looking at the leading edge of a storm, you want to, if you can, look at the radar that's in front of it. Nice part here is we kind of can. We can look at Wilmington's radar. It's in front of it. We could try the Dayton terminal Doppler, but it's pretty much right at max range, so we're not going to get much off of that. So we'll look at the Wilmington radar, and again, it's not the best, again, because we're looking so high up. So it's kind of what we can do. Again, we're not going to talk about Logan County. Well, Stephanie, I'm on here to just inform you about the severe weather threat we have coming tonight and tomorrow, which we did. We did talk about that, but I can't give you exact timing on what's going to hit what county or my backyard and all that. That just, it's not a thing. If you think it's a thing, go ahead, start your own page, try it. It doesn't work. We just don't have that. So, and I'd be here all night. Because people come in, they just throw that, and then they leave, and I get another guy, and they come in and ask. It'd just be this crazy thing. Like, I just can't really, it doesn't work that way. I can tell you what this storm's going to do in about the next half an hour. That's about it. I can't tell you what it's going to do moving across the state overnight tonight, which I'm getting questions on what's going to happen out in my county in eastern Ohio with this storm. I have no clue. Not a magician, last I checked. I didn't get a crystal ball, guys. Still looking for it. Where's my crystal ball at? No, it doesn't exist. So I just can't tell you that. I can't pull up the model and say, this is what the model shows, and here's the timing, because I can look at two different models and I got two different solutions in front of me. They weren't good earlier today. It's hard to trust them tonight and tomorrow. All we can say is potential. That's it. I can say there's decent potential for things to happen. We kind of looked at the models earlier. We're going to look at the models again in a moment, because we should start getting some of the slightly better runs, if you will, that has some of the upper air samplings built into them that happened at 8 p.m. And that should help give us a little bit better idea. But the fact that they had storms blowing up over central Ohio, I mean a huge complex of storms blowing up over central Ohio at 7 o'clock tonight, that, guess what, didn't happen. Well, it's great if it showed the storm, but how do you trust it? It didn't show the storm, by the way. It had this massive complex of storms over central Ohio, and then multiple rounds of storms after that. So, yeah, you just can't get it. So be nice in the comments, please. But we're not here and just throw your town name or county name. But some of you guys have a bad habit of coming in our chat and just throwing in your town and your county name. And I'm wondering if it's one of two things. Either you're hoping that, God forbid, I reply and I give you the answer you want to hear, or you come in and just announce where you are. And if that's what you're doing, that's fine. If you come, hey, I'm from so-and-so. Great, awesome. Tell us you're from. Hey, I'm watching from so-and-so. Awesome, great. But if you just throw in, hey, Logan County, you're just begging for something to get something. So, it's tough. And we can't really do that, and we get it a lot, and typically we just ignore it. But understand that that's not something we can quite do. It's just not there. I do want to look across the rest of the state. So the storm near Bellefontaine here, they don't have a severe thunderstorm warning, but they did issue a special weather statement about it. Wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour and some small hail possible. It is not oops, I wanted to look at this again. Not a super fast mover. They have it only moving, well, they got it moving east of 35. Never mind. It's just kind of taking its old time there. But I do want to look here across central and southeastern Ohio a little bit. Don't want to forget about you guys down here. Okay, I know we got storms across Perry County and back up in the Columbus area. But look, they're just kind of these popcorn storms, right? So a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. Almost all of them are going to produce some sort of lightning. Not every single one. The bigger ones will. So a lot of lightning. Again, you're going to hear a lot of thunder. We got a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, so it's a lot of molecules for sound waves to bounce off of. So you're going to get a lot of that. And again, some heavy rain as well. And some of these, they're kind of smaller, like around the Pickerton area and Pataskala, down towards South Bloomfield, and even right around Lancaster, up along US 33. You're going to see these brief little bouts of moderate to heavy rain. Real brief, move through, and it's going to move out. But this is all kind of continuing to grow a little bit. Again, models earlier had this area just blossoming with massive storms. It didn't happen. That was 4 hours ago almost now. 3-4 hours ago. It's not there. So then what do you do with this? Well, it wasn't showing that because they had massive storm system across central and southern Ohio. Well, okay, cool. Didn't happen. Models are not perfect. They are not. They're tools, but they a lot of times don't get things quite right. They're better than they used to be, but they're not perfect. So just again, something to keep them in mind. To our commenter on YouTube, yes, this is WeatherWise we're using. This is one of the apps. We particularly like it because it's a bit easier to use in a live scene like this, just easier to navigate. It's cleaner looking. So we do use that. We do have some other programs we've used in the past as well. So, it is one of the things. Anybody's welcome to download it. They have a free version, they have a paid version as well. We do pay for it. Just so that way we can get some other features that we can show you. But it's a wonderful app that they give you a lot for free. So anybody, Facebook, YouTube, doesn't matter. WeatherWise is the name of the app we're using. No secret, it's not proprietary to us. We are working on something that would be more proprietary to us, but we're not really there right now. Let's go back and let's look at some model data. I'm going to leave some of the warnings and stuff up. I'm going to go back. I'm going to recant on that, guys. My bad. Did get a new severe thunderstorm warning here, and I do want to focus on it. It's a severe thunderstorm warning for Putnam County till 10:30, and this was issued about 10 minutes ago, so my apologies. So Putnam County till 10:30. It's the storm near Kalida, a little west of Ottawa now, moving east at 30 miles an hour with 60-mile-an-hour winds possible. So it's pretty much right over Kalida now. It's going to affect Avis, Miller City, Ottawa, Leipzig, Gilboa, Pandora, Columbus Grove as well. It's just moving over DuPont, Cloverdale, and out of Ottoville right now. So again, just some damaging winds with that one. And while we were speaking, here's another new severe thunderstorm warning, kind of interesting. Wilmington issued this for northeastern Shelby County, southern Auglaize County, and central Mercer County. That goes till 10:30 p.m. We're looking at 60-mile-an-hour winds, and they're saying quarter-size hail. Haven't seen too much in the way of hail with this, but it's certainly possible. Say storm's moving southeast at 45 miles an hour and was located near St. Mary's. So here's who's affected: Salina, Wapakoneta, St. Mary's, Coldwater, New Bremen, Minster, Anna, Jackson Center, Botkins, New Knoxville, Moulton, Wabash, Port Jefferson, Kettlersville, Montezuma, Freiburg, Montra, Tama, Neptune, and Maplewood, all in the path of this storm. And that's this big complex up here, kind of dive into the southeast a little bit. So turn to the right a little bit instead of moving east as it was earlier. So moving a little bit to the southeast. That's pretty normal in this stretch of the world. The radar here in northern Indiana is now finally pegging some rotation with it, but it's not clean. We're kind of at the edge of it there. So don't particularly like that. Let's go to the Wilmington radar, because again, we're going to look out ahead of it. Again, it's not going to be the best view in the world. We're looking kind of high up, so we don't really have a lot to look at here. Again, because we're looking high up, it just doesn't look that great. Not as good as it did earlier. That's for sure. A little bit more broken on those scans. Kind of the limitation of radar a little bit. But definitely some stronger winds around Spencerville, right along 66 there, down towards, is that Kossuth? I'm not really sure how that one's pronounced, my bad. First time I've seen that one. So yeah, definitely looking at some winds near about 60 miles an hour. So certainly some strong winds, some very heavy rain. There's a potential for some hail. I could see it, especially now with some of the brighter colors here, like near Rockford and whatnot. I could certainly see some pockets of hail, but I think it's going to end up being on the smaller side by the time it gets to the surface. It's going to be hard pressed for inch hail on this one, but could certainly see at a minimum some small hail. If you're in Van Wert, yeah, the severe thunderstorm warning is technically still in effect until 10:30 for Van Wert, but I'll pretty much call it for you as all clear, because you can see you're kind of moving, all the yellows and reds are moving out, right? So Van Wert, you guys are right here. Everything is kind of south of you. So yeah, you're good. They'll probably update the warning here in just a couple minutes or so, and they'll take that out. But yeah, if you're in Van Wert, you're all clear from that severe thunderstorm warning for sure. Hi, Malvern. Do you think it's going to hit the Malvern area? Well, if I had a magic ball and the crystal ball and a magic 8 ball, and if I had the right stick, I might have a better chance of telling you. Maybe. No, not really. This is all moving southeast. This can't hit Malvern. It can't hit Malvern. That said, is there a chance for storms in Malvern overnight? Yes. Is it a high chance? No. Which way is the storm moving to? Most of the storms are moving southeast to Olivia over on YouTube. So that is where we are looking right now. I'm not going to answer if you should be scared about storms. That's a childish question. Guys, you're adults, right? For Findlay, does it seem like the worst of it is going under it? We can't really go under a city unless you go underground. Okay, I'm being facetious there, guys. It's 10 o'clock. The stronger storms are south of Findlay, and they're moving southeast, so they're not moving towards you. That said, the line you see out west, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning west of Findlay, west of Hancock County. That is probably going to move towards that area. Is there any rotation? Not really. There's some mid-level spin, but there's not a lot of rotation. Again, a lot of this is a damaging wind threat right now. It's primarily looking at, along with some heavy rains, some localized flooding is certainly possible. All right, I want to look at model data just real quick. I'll leave the warnings up, so don't mind that. Let's look at some model data here. Let's see if anything is in that's useful. Yeah, that's about a third of the way done. We'll see how far it is in a moment. Oh, that's why. Let's go back to here. There we go. That one's done. Give me just a moment here, guys. All right, let's take a look at that model data. My bad, my apologies there. So as you can see, this is supposed to be, well, this is supposed to be 9 o'clock. A little messy, but not too bad. As we put it into motion, maybe, if I can click the right button, there we go. Everything kind of pushes to the east, and then here's that big cluster storm, 7 to about 11 a.m. There's the next cluster storms out of Chicago, 2, 3, 4 p.m. And as we get into the evening Tuesday night, things kind of clear out. I'll let this loop, guys. This does go into Tuesday night and early Wednesday, and we do have a chance for more storms Wednesday. Lower severe threats here in Ohio. So there's everything. We do get some storms possibly across eastern Ohio, 7 to 11 with that line of storms. Here's the next one that's going to be more early afternoon. Get some storms across northeastern Ohio later in the day, Tuesday perhaps. And then as we get into Tuesday night and Wednesday, this model does have another complex of storm moving across southwestern Ohio. All over the place today, the models have been all over the place. Looks like we got a tornado warning coming in. Stand by. May not be for Ohio. I got another program running as well. That way it would just kind of ping some alerts for me. So it may not necessarily be for here. It's not. It's for, okay, yeah, it's for out in Iowa. My bad. Okay, so I need to change some settings later. Nice thing about WeatherWise is you can kind of set it to give you warnings for like a certain state or something like that. And for whatever reason, it reset. Reading a discussion here from the Storm Prediction Center. It's like an hour old. I didn't see it earlier. I don't have it up on the live one. But they're talking about the storms continuing to build overnight. And some of the better shear will actually be kind of north of really where the storms are. But we'll kind of have what we have here, potential for some supercells or multicells, and could see some hail along with the damaging winds that could occur. Again, if things get more developed, you could see certainly some better severe weather potential, but I mean, it's just not quite where I think that it could be. This is all there is too. I mean, if we go back up into northern Indiana, there's not a whole lot behind it. There's a couple of these cells from earlier that are just kind of breaking up a little bit. If these, for whatever reason, were able to re-intensify as it moved into northwestern Ohio, that could be a bit more concerning. But they're just not quite there. This whole complex has certainly developed. All this is kind of now congealed together. So that's, I don't want to say good, but if you're looking for severe weather overall, that's not, it's not terrible. It's not super crazy either. So again, they did update the severe thunderstorm warning for Van Wert. They removed Van Wert. That's great news. Van Wert now officially in the clears from the severe thunderstorm warning, which is, again, good news for you guys there. We did get, it looks like, we got a severe thunderstorm warning coming in for Delaware, Hardin, Logan, and Union counties. So let's get down here to the Wilmington radar. Yep, there it is. Severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Logan, northwestern Delaware, Union, and southern Hardin County till 10:45 p.m. Storm is near Bell Center, moving east at 20 miles an hour with 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail possible. So here's who's impacted: Delaware, Marysville, Bellefontaine, Kenton, Richwood, Bell Center, West Mansfield, Northwood, Radnor, Ostrander, Mount Victory, Rushsylvania, Huntsville, Ridgeway, Magnetic Springs, Valley High, Zanesfield, Raymond, New Jerusalem, and Broadway, all in the path of this storm. This is the one that we've been kind of watching over Bellefontaine and everything. You can see some kind of back building a little bit. So it's going to end up, what's going to end up happening here is this storm is going to join this line. It's almost done. You got this little gap here, right? And it's just going to join this line, and we're just going to kind of this like just worm-like cell across western Ohio. So this is kind of our multi-cell type setup, if you will, where we have one and another kind of in a line. But I think eventually that's going to join up together. Again, a lot of lightning with that particular storm. And we also now have a severe thunderstorm warning coming in for parts of northwestern Ohio. It's going to be with this cell up here out of Ottawa. This one looks like it's almost moving northeast. Take a look at that. It is. Wow. Okay, so we get a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Defiance County, northwestern Putnam County, northeastern Paulding County, and south central Henry County till 10:30. This storm's near Continental. It's moving northeast at 20 miles an hour. So it's kind of splitting, doing its own thing. It's kind of interesting. Defiance, Continental, Holgate, DuPont, Florida, Miller City, New Bavaria, Kieferville, Jewell, Arthur, Pleasant Bend, Ayersville, North Creek, Wisterman, Stanley, and Prentice in the path of that storm. And I'll go back over to this again. It's going to be northern Indiana, having a little bit better view on it. That's a pretty nice storm, but it's moving northeast. That's very interesting. So you have, I wonder if that boundary is somewhere. It's got to be somewhere in here, because this is moving northeast and these are moving southeast. So everything's diverging, right? Moving away from one another. It's kind of interesting that you have this rogue cell moving in a totally opposite direction. Kind of watching this stuff out here near Auburn, Indiana, if that tries to re-intensify. But this stuff is certainly looking good, and it's, again, kind of ramping up a little bit. This is now starting to connect a little bit better. So again, that's all going to be a big, like, multi-cell cluster of storms. I'm not so sure if these are going to do much out here. Again, that's kind of a worked over atmosphere, some things earlier. So I'm not real sure on that one. My other concern would be the potential for flooding. And let me kind of talk about why here. Go to the Wilmington radar, a little bit better view. So we have this line of storms, right? Everything's moving along this boundary. It's got to be somewhere in here. Fort Wayne to roughly about Delaware, Marion. We'll call it Marion. Fort Wayne to Marion. Somewhere in here is a boundary that everything's following. And it's just going to move along this boundary. So we're just going to get this round of storms moving through. Look at all the reds. That's a lot of heavy rain, guys. So there is definitely the potential from pretty much the state line all the way to about Delaware for some flash flooding right now, sometime overnight tonight. So just keep that in mind. If you're in an area that's prone to flooding, or your basement floods easy, something like that, you might want to take some steps to prevent some loss, or even just protect yourself in case you're again in one of those areas that's very easily prone to flooding. It's late, guys. I'm sorry. But anyway, so just kind of keep that in mind. We're going to have a lot of rain. Could easily drop inch to an hour of rain. So, and it's not super fast moving. It's not super slow, but it's not super fast moving either. And yeah, definitely could see some flooding rain threat in there. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind overnight tonight, especially if you're going to be heading out very early in the morning going to work or anything like that. All right. Just taking a look at a couple things over here. Okay, Street, I can't really tell you much about northeastern Ohio and storms because a lot of it's dependent upon things that have to develop, and it's just not there. So it's really, really difficult as you get into eastern and northeastern Ohio to talk about what time storms are coming, because again, this storm is heading more towards Toledo. These are heading more towards Columbus. So you're going, oh, well, it's going to split me. It's gone. Well, we got a really unstable atmosphere in place across all of Ohio. We'll see probably some development overnight. Whether or not they'll be severe, I can't tell you that for sure. First thing, they have to develop. I know models show storms, but it doesn't mean they're actually going to develop. Because again, as we just saw a short time ago, they're kind of all over the place. Secondly, it could very well stay below severe level, so you get a thunderstorm. Okay, great. But again, just because we have severe weather in the state of Ohio doesn't mean it affects the entire state of Ohio. It doesn't mean it's coming towards your backyard. We fixate a lot on that, it seems like. But we being a lot of people, not you guys. Yes. Mark J. Weather on YouTube. Mid-level vortex with these storms over western Ohio. I agree. Yes, sir. Thank you for pointing that out. So that's just going to be storm with some mid-level rotation in it. And I gotta shut those off. All right. Because that's not going to be for us. Bear with me just a moment, folks. I'm going to fix something here because I'm tired of getting scared by, if you did hear that sound, I got that particularly set for when a tornado warning is issued, and that way kind of clues me in as to, hey, something's coming for us. But yeah, it's not near us. For whatever reason, this got reset, and it's pinging everything for the entire United States, and which is cool, but it's not cool at the same time. So let me just, there, that'll take care of that. Excellent. Okay, cool. That way we don't have to worry about hearing that. So there's a severe thunderstorm watch in effect as well, all the way till 2 a.m. for northeastern, west central parts of central Ohio. That's that pink color you see on the screen. Do I think there's going to be no rain for Streetsboro? I didn't say that. I said that it's hard to tell because everything is conditional based on stuff developing overnight. If you weren't with us earlier, I've mentioned a couple times how models did not do a very good job with storms earlier today. They're not doing a great job with this because, well, they had this big glob of storms across central Ohio at about 7 p.m. Well, that didn't happen. It didn't particularly pick up on this sort of event. Okay, cool. So it's very now hard to tell what's going to happen out here, which is off the screen, Streetsboro, northwestern Portage County. What's going to happen overnight tonight or tomorrow morning? Could you see rain? Yes, you could see rain. This is rain right here. This whole package will gradually kind of move east. Whether or not it reaches you, it's hard to tell. Whether or not it's going to be storming or not, it's hard to tell. So there's a chance for rain overnight, yes. A couple of models we saw a short time ago did show that potential, yes. Is it a for sure thing? No, I wouldn't be going to the casino and betting on it. I definitely wouldn't be going to the horse track throwing money on it either, because you're not far from Northfield. So I would not be doing either of those. So again, I'm glad you think I'm an okay meteorologist. Wonderful. Yes, I'm at home, by the way. This is in my house. I've had this set up for over 10 years now. So can you explain the severe risk for tomorrow? Yes, I'm going to go over the severe risk again real quick, actually, with you guys one more time. Can you see if there might be a tornado? No, I really can't. I'm curious why you ask if you want me to see why in West Mansfield. Okay, cool, so I got that. No, guys, come on. All right, so here's the deal. Let's go down here. I don't know why you think there's a tornado in West Mansfield. If you want to post in there why you think there's a tornado in West Mansfield, please do. It's windy, but there's no rotation. This whole complex is going to kind of rotate a little bit, but it's not. We're not really seeing that type of thing again. Tornado threat very low tonight. Very, very low tonight. Thank you for signing up for alerts from our channel too. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, it does a great job pushing out alerts to your phone when we go live. Much better than we're relying on Facebook. It's really nice because we can't go live through our app, unfortunately. It just does not work out too well there. Let's see. I want to look at just a couple other things here. Folks down here, Lexington County, that's a nice storm there. We don't have a severe thunderstorm warning here, but we do have a flash flood warning for northwestern Morgan and central Perry County. Just came out a few minutes ago. That goes to 1:15 a.m. Get a lot of rain. You guys had a lot of rain earlier. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So, again, flash flooding certainly possible overnight. So do be careful as you head out to work tomorrow morning. There could be some flooding for flooded roadways, or if anything, just some ponding of water on the roadways as well. Especially with this complex across west central Ohio, moving out of Indiana, south of Van Wert, towards Lima, Bellefontaine, towards Marysville, Delaware. That's a lot of water, and that's going to continue to flow that way. And yeah, definitely going to be a flash flooding risk there for sure. Is Marion going to hit? Is Marion, Ohio good tonight? Marion, Ohio, yes, you're good. Woo! Well, it's hard to say because you're in a severe thunderstorm warning right now. That goes. Marion County goes to 11 p.m. That was just issued as we celebrated Marion. So severe thunderstorm warning, Marion County till 11 p.m. And that's for the line of storms we were just looking at there. 60-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-size hail. They warned most of the county, so Marion, Prospect, LaRue, Morale, Waldo, New Bloomington, Greencamp, all in the path of that storm. Again, they pretty much warned almost the whole county except for the far eastern portions of it. And that's that storm over there near Kenton, Mount Victory. All that's going to move in. So if you're in Marion, eventually you'll probably see some storms. And yes, they could be severe. So just keep that in mind. Again, there's everybody posting stuff in the chat. I can't go into too much here on everything. So really sorry about that. But again, if I did that, we're going to be here all night. And guys, I actually need to get some sleep soon. I do actually work a job. All right, one more time, I do want to go back to our severe threats for tomorrow. So this is basically what we're looking at. Again, a low chance, not a high chance of some tornadic activity, generally across west central, southwestern Ohio. Wind is going to be the biggest threat. Could be some hail in there, and flooding also has a good potential as well. The tornadoes, again, low threat. It will generally be with any cell that develops out ahead of a line and perhaps embedded right along the leading edge of those line of storms should we actually see a line of storms develop. Models are trying, they really are. But the solutions are just all over the place, and it's made it very tough. Even just today, looking at things, and even for tomorrow, it makes it kind of tough. But at least they've kind of settled on an area, and that is super good. As far as the risk for tomorrow, there's our wind risk from the Storm Prediction Center. So you can see we got a 30% probability, pretty much from Columbus down to Portsmouth, points west to just south of Lima. So that is our biggest threat, and we have a pretty nice wind threat even in the southeastern Ohio should storms continue, but timing is all over the place with this one, unfortunately. And let's look at, here's our tornado risk. This is 2% risk, guys, 2%. That means when I point here, okay, so that's Dayton, there's a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of Dayton. It's a pretty far area, right? 25 miles, 2% chance. It's not very high. It's not very high. This is the lowest level outside of no threat that the Storm Prediction Center will issue on a tornado threat. 2%. 98% chance we don't see a tornado within 25 miles of any point in that colored area. Just for perspective, right? That's how this kind of works. So there is a low-end threat, very low-end threat. Again, could see it, yes, but no, not expecting like a tornado outbreak or anything like that. There's our overall categorical threat for Tuesday. There is an enhanced risk for severe storms from Columbus to Portsmouth and points west. And then we have a slight risk for much of southeastern Ohio, south central, and then portions of northwestern Ohio, and then portions of northeastern Ohio, generally in that marginal risk. For northeastern Ohio, for the most part, is not going to see a lot of crazy severe weather. So if you're watching from northeastern Ohio this evening, tomorrow is not going to be your day. If you want to see severe storms, yeah, you're going to have to go south somewhere. If you don't want storms, great, or severe storms rather, great. Chances are pretty low. Everything's going to pretty much follow this boundary. So the boundary is going to pretty much set up here somewhere. Everything's going to be south of it. So it's going to push everything across central and southern Ohio more than anything else. And again, models getting all over the place here. Cridersville getting hail, rain, thunder, and lightning. Thanks for the report, Amanda. Really appreciate that in the comments. And same with West Lima getting heavy rain, loud thunder and lightning. Yep, a lot of thunder and lightning. It's definitely going to be loud tonight. Again, a lot of moisture in the atmosphere for sound to bounce off of, so you're going to hear a lot of that. Let's go ahead and we'll look at some model stuff here real quick. This one's only out, well, let's see here. We're going to put this one in motion. So this model here, it started picking up on this complex of storms better. This is great. So it picked up on this complex of storms earlier, which is awesome. This is 8 p.m. That's cool. I like that. Let's put it in motion. It's not forever. So it picked up on that really well. Okay. So it's going to bounce a little bit. That's kind of the way sometimes the models update. Like here is noon. Excuse me. That's 4 o'clock tomorrow. But then there's 9 a.m. So let me do this for you guys. So here is where we are right now. That's where we are right now. Here's the current radar. And it won't let me overlay the model on both. Well, gosh darn. Okay. So I'll flip back and forth. Put it on Wilmington, a little bit better view there. And, oh. All right. So you can kind of see it has a lot of activity here across central southeastern Ohio. There's a few storms there, but it's not quite this intense. But it did pick up here on the storms in western Ohio. That's cool. That gives me a little bit better confidence. Cool. All right. What do we got going through the night here? Here is, that's going to be midnight right here. So then we get some cells kind of north and south a little bit from the Lake Erie Islands down towards Mansfield, east side of Columbus. Okay, I can kind of buy off on that. And as we go through the overnight again, hey, if you're in Streetsboro still watching, you can see we don't get a whole lot there. And then as we get into 5 a.m. here, look at this nice bow coming out of Chicago. Wow. Wow, that's quite intense. Be curious to see if that happens. If that happens, okay, now we got some intense wind, but that is going to primarily stay in Indiana unless it can continue to grow here by 9 a.m. Ooh, that's a pretty nice bow there at 9 a.m. And then we get some training here back towards Chicago, up towards Iowa there, up towards Dubuque, and then that's our next complex of storms. That's a pretty nice bow there across western and southwestern Ohio. 9 a.m., crazy. And as we get into noon, well, we don't have noon yet. We have 11 a.m. That's going to die out. Then we got another round of storms up in the Chicago area, and it kind of has it dying out as this is 4 p.m. But again, that model data is maybe still kind of coming in a bit incomplete. That could change a little bit. I don't know about the timing. I just don't know about the timing. And the timing is, the reason is earlier this afternoon I was looking at things. It had a nice Boeing segment moving across southwestern Ohio tomorrow, generally afternoon and evening, late afternoon and evening. Now we're talking about maybe 1 in the morning and 1 early afternoon. I just scratched my head on that one. That's a huge shift in timing, very close to an event. Huge shift, huge. That's hard. If this one pans out, cool, great. I'm going to give that model a lot of props because it's a newer model. It's going to replace a couple coming up in October. I'm going to give it a lot of props if that's the case. But again, very, very difficult because models they're just all over the place right now. Let's look at another one that runs hourly. It's complete. It's only be 18 hours, so it won't go too far. We'll get into like late morning tomorrow. So it has that same bow. There it is. Another complex of storms coming out of Chicago. Not quite what the other models show, but similar. That's 11 a.m. It's 11 a.m. We got this nice complex of storms racing across the northern third of Indiana towards Ohio. We got complex of showers and storms across eastern Ohio from earlier convection that developed somewhere around like 10, 11 a.m. Looks like, maybe a little bit sooner than that. Had some stuff develop across the lake, across Cleveland. And then, again, there was our earlier bow too. Where was that? That was right here. That pretty much fell apart when it hit the state line on this model. That's also a reasonable solution. It could happen. But again, it's vastly different from the other one, right? The other one had a growing line of storms by morning. This one is dissipating storms in the morning. Yeah, it's so hard to tell. So hard to tell. Let's go back and look at the latest here. And actually, let me flip back here. Let me do this. Let's go back to the current radar. That's better. That way I don't have to do anything crazy. No change in the severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued. It looks like all pretty much about the same. Couple about ready to expire here, which is good news. But a lot of heavy rain, some stronger winds, 60 mile an hour, certainly very possible, but probably not much stronger than that. Someone did ask about that though. Lisa on Facebook asked, can you tell on radar how much wind a cell has or how intense it could be? Like, it's hard to tell specifically how much wind a cell has, but we can look overall and see how intense it could be. And we use that by checking the velocity. And we have two different velocity scans available with NextRad. We have the base velocity and we have what's called storm relative velocity. So base velocity is how the storm moves in relation to the radar site. And that's these dots you see on the map. I can click on and pull up that radar. So it's storm movement in relation to the radar. right? So green moving to, red moving away from the radar. That's all it is, base velocity. Then we have storm relative velocity, which adds math to all of that. It takes that base velocity and it says, okay, how's the storm moving in relation to itself? And we use both of these interchangeably. Usually we look at base velocity and we can sometimes see, like rotation for, tornadic type storms. Sometimes we have to use storm relative velocity to get a better view of it. It really just depends, the relation of the storm to where the radar site is versus where the storm is, and a couple other factors. Sometimes one picks it up better than the other. Sometimes both pick it up. We'll use it for more verification than anything. Is what this one's showing me what I need to see. Is it really doing that, or is it, or am I getting bad info? Sometimes we get that. We'll get a scan or two. It's just bad data. Something interfered with it. Something didn't go right. Whatever that scan, it happens. It's not perfect, but yes, we can kind of see how intense a storm is. But the particular cell, it depends. It really depends. If it's a single cell out by itself and it's really intense, then yes. But it really just depends. So good question. On that one. So we'll pop back over to the radar here just real quick. I am going to end our live stream here real soon. Again, I do work in the morning. Our severe thunderstorm warning up in the Defiance area and up in the Ottawa area has been allowed to expire. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning expiring right now for Shelby, Auglaize, and Mercer County. It expires 10:30. There's another severe thunderstorm warning. It was just issued actually about 10 minutes ago, my bad. Northwestern Auglaize and Northern Mercer County to 11 p.m. again. 60-mile-an-hour winds. They're saying penny-size hail. That's certainly possible. That part of the storm, it was pretty strong earlier in terms of reflectivity. Had some pinks in there, so you could certainly see some hail with that. That one's going to affect Salina, St. Mary's, Rockford, Mendon, Montezuma, Chattanooga, Neptune, Bulkhead, and Tama. You'll probably notice I've mentioned many of those towns earlier. Again, we got that training of cells, so that is kind of what we're looking at here. We got multiple cells here, so let's draw this. We have this big cell, we have this cell, we have this big cell. This is trying to develop, and then we have these cells down here, and these are really kind of multiple cells too. Kind of what we call a multi-cell line. Is what we're looking at. So we'll see kind of what we have here, right? We have a strong cell, a weak cell, and a developing cell. Sometimes these are out of order. You usually see a strong mature cell, a developing cell, and a weaker cell. But sometimes, that doesn't always work out that way. Down here, we kind of got cells that are separated. We have one here that's kind of out by itself right now. Overall, that is, kind of what we're looking at. And again, everything's moving this way. So this cell here is going to affect Wapakoneta, Bellefontaine eventually. Again, flash flooding threat for that with plenty of rain and moisture available. Could be some damaging wind as well, but I would say 60 mile an hour is, probably a really good threat. At this point in time, again, tornado threat, very, very low. Not really expecting much in the way of tornadoes at all tonight. A little bit better threat as we saw there tomorrow, but not much higher. And timing is going to be kind of important on some of that too as we go through the morning hours and everything. So we're really just got to kind of wait and see almost on some of this. Our severe thunderstorm warning for the Bellefontaine area, that has expired. Now we have, wouldn't you know it, flash flood warning in effect for Northwestern Union, Northeastern Auglaize, Southwestern Hardin, Logan, and Northeastern Shelby County till 1:30. That just got issued. Inch to 2.5 inches of rain already fallen. Could see up to 2.5 inches more. So again, watch for all that flash flooding. Severe thunderstorm warning also issued just now by Cleveland for southeastern southeastern Marion County, Morrow County, and northwestern Knox County till 11:15. That's the storm near Chesterville, moving east at 20 miles an hour, 60 mile an hour winds. Potential for some quarter-size hail on that one as well. Mount Vernon, Mount Gilead, Fredericktown, Cardington, Ashley, Chesterville, Sparta, Waterford, Edison, Marengo and Fulton in the path of that storm. So that's this cell right there. I'll zoom out. This is going to be at the edge of Cleveland's radar. They don't get a bad view, but again, it's kind of high. And I could see certainly a bit of a hail threat with that one too. And then here's our nice cell down towards New Lexington. We'll pick up Charleston's radar on that. It has a severe thunderstorm warning now as well. East Central Perry and northwestern Morgan County to 11:15 p.m. Generally to 60-mile-an-hour winds. I wouldn't be surprised seeing some small hail with that. New Lexington, Somerset, Perry State Forest area, Crooksville, Junction City, and Eagleport on the path of that storm. I believe someone posted some hail in their chat too. Salina, yeah, getting more rain, unfortunately. For those on YouTube asking about tornado threat, again, very, very low. Not really expecting much. And then someone asked about Athens County tonight. Well, here's Athens County. Here's what's coming that's kind of developing. Not a whole lot. But again, models differed on what was going to develop overnight and early tomorrow morning. So there's a potential you could see absolutely nothing. There's a potential you could see a couple storms. As far as severe threat, I think southeastern Ohio, it's relatively low. We already talked about northwestern Ohio, guys. You got severe thunderstorms rolling through parts of it. We've already kind of discussed all this up here. Is again, potentially you do see additional shower storms develop overnight. There's a cell here just popped up over Arlington, south of Findlay, a short time ago. Again, that's kind of what you're going to see, but a lot of it is going to be non-severe. We're not here trying to hype anything up, talk about crazy severe weather. It's not that. There is the potential for that line of storms again across western and southwestern Ohio that could produce a pretty extensive line of wind damage. Potential is the key word with this because, again, as you saw, models are totally different. They're kind of changing our tune on timing, going from really an afternoon evening threat now to a morning threat perhaps, or even a morning and then an early afternoon threat. And it's like, okay, cool. So as I'm looking at this real time talking to you, I'm going, that's different from what I saw earlier just this afternoon, what I saw. And I'm like, ouch, okay, well that takes what I think might happen and throws it out the window into the trash can, because now we're talking something different, and because it's just now kind of changing, it's like I would really like to see if that is a trend that holds. Well, I'm not going to stay up all overnight and watch the models. Again, I have to work in the morning, so I can't really stay up all night and watch the models, but at the same time, we'll kind of have an idea early morning where we stand too, just looking at what's going to be happening around 4:35 a.m. or so, and comparing that to what we saw last night, and then seeing, okay, what are the models, what did they start developing overnight, what did they show, and kind of see what happens. So some of it is just a wait and see, and that's just it. And so I kind of wanted to jump on here and just explain that to you. I didn't exactly expect to do some severe weather coverage per se, but we did, and that's okay, not a problem. I'm glad we could do that. But definitely just kind of wanted to highlight that threat overall for tomorrow primarily, just because, there is a potential we could see a lot of wind damage, and that could cause some issues. And it was just easier to jump on here and talk about that instead of trying to wrap it up into a big video that ends up being really long, and no one watched a long video. I don't blame them. So, that's just kind of where everything stands there. It was much easier to jump on here and talk about it, have a conversation a little bit. Are the storms near Marion going to be in the morning or like at night? Well, the storms in Marion right now are the storms in Marion right now. I'm looking at the clock. It's 10:38 p.m. I'm looking outside. It's dark. I'm not sure what you're asking, unfortunately. I have no idea why South Zanesville sounded their sirens, and it's too late at night for me to go on my soapbox about sirens. They could have sounded the sirens for this severe thunderstorm warning. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Everybody does different things with sirens. I'm not a big fan of them. Salinas, I don't know why you're asking if you're in the clear, because you're getting a pretty hefty storm right now. It is a severe warned storm with 60-mile-an-hour winds possible, along with some hail. You said for tomorrow. Are the storms tomorrow near Marion? Okay, my bad. You're right. I don't really know. It could be both. It could be morning, it could be an afternoon, and it could be at night. I, again, don't know why sirens in Marion went off. If they're sounding it for the severe thunderstorm warning, I'm sorry. I don't particularly like that, but there's no tornado warning storms out there, and we'll pull up the velocity and we can see really not much spinning at all happening, which is great news. So if they're sounding it for the severe thunderstorm warning, you now know why I hate it. Don't like it. Don't like those. It's terrible. This just south of Delaware City. Look, all right. Delaware's getting a storm here shortly. I don't know how far south, and honestly, it doesn't matter to me how far south, but you're going to get thunderstorms. Whether or not they'll be severe, I don't know. Do you think the line will get to Miami County? No. They're not moving south, they're moving southeast. So for them to get to Miami County, they would actually have to make a pretty hard right turn, and that's just not going to happen. I feel like sirens should only be sounded for actual emergencies. We all agree with that. We really, really do all agree with that. And at some point in time here, I may put a little video together and we'll throw it up on our YouTube page, and we'll kind of talk about sirens. But here's the long and short of it. There's no standard in Ohio for sounding sirens. Each county can do its own thing. Each city, if they have their own set of sirens, they can do their own thing. So you have a county and a city all in the same county doing two different things. One sounds it for this, this, and this. The other only sounds it for that, or vice versa. Years and years ago, they tried to get a bill through the State House to standardize all of that, and it did not make it to the floor for a vote. It ended up getting pretty much canned, and it went nowhere. It didn't make it out of committee, unfortunately. My understanding was no one could agree, but it was something that I guess several EMAs, county EMAs, the Emergency Managers Associations in each county, were trying to push. And they were trying to get some standard going, just because. Why? Well, that's why. That was several years ago, though. Severe thunderstorm warning to me does not say go turn on the siren. Again, a siren is an outdoor warning device. You're not necessarily going to hear it at night unless you live real close to it. It's probably not going to wake you up unless you live real close to it. Power goes out. Many of them don't have backup generators. Power goes out, the siren doesn't work. Okay. Some of them have backup generators, but sirens require lots of power to work. So for the most part, the backup generator is only going to be able to sound the siren a few times, and that's about it. Then it's not going to work anymore. Very finite amount of, well, they're not even generators, really. They're probably on a battery more than anything. That's more than likely the case. If we're on a battery, probably want to get a couple out of that one. That's it. Because it's going to drain the battery pretty quick. So, yeah, just a few reasons why I'm not a big fan of them this day and age. You mentioned the boundary south of Marion. Would that have any effect on storms tomorrow? Yes and no. Yes and no. Why does someone keep asking about Chillicothe? Guys, Chillicothe is 100 miles away from these storms. You're way down here, guys. You got some showers and storms developing around Ross County. That's about it. This line of storms isn't really going to affect you. It's going to pass to your north. Boundary south of I mentioned there's a boundary somewhere because we had a cell moving northeast, and we have these storms moving to the cell moving to the northeast. These line of storms moving to the southeast. So everything's diverging, right? So we have this going this way, this going this way. So somewhere in there they had to be like a boundary of some sort. I called out a couple town names just for reference. Somewhere in here's a stalled out boundary. Whether that's a stalled out front, it could be an outflow boundary, it could be a couple different things, and that's kind of what is driving the storms to follow along it, right? That's all it is. That's all it is. Nothing else crazy. Don't overthink it. Would it have any effect on storms tomorrow, though? Is a great question. I don't know. Probably not. A lot of the stuff that's going to come through tomorrow is going to be much further south. Is it possible that boundary moves south? Yes, it's possible. Is it possible it moves north? Yes, it's possible. Could it have an effect? Maybe. But more than likely, probably going to be more the orientation and position of the stalled out frontal boundary that drives where those storms are going to go more than anything else, I think. There's a couple other factors it looks like to it, but I would say for the most part, right now, whatever is sitting here is driving this movement. This could shift, and yes, it could affect what happens tomorrow. It's very possible, but that's more of a wait and see thing. That's something that doesn't particularly always get modeled. So it's more of a wait and see on that one. I was wondering because it said it's going to be bad tonight at 1. I don't know what said it's going to be bad tonight at 1, but okay. Not real sure if, yeah. All right, so just a quick little recap here. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for East Central Perry, northwestern Morgan County till 11:15. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for about the next half hour for southeastern Marion, Morrow County, and northwestern Knox County. That's still 11:15. And then we have a flash flood warning for about the next 3 hours till 1:30 in the morning for northwestern Union County, northeastern Auglaize County, southern Hardin, Logan County, and northeastern Shelby County. And we also have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for northwestern Shelby County, Auglaize County, and southern Mercer County till 11:15 p.m. Again, damaging winds, basically the threat on that one. And then we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect just for about another 10, 12 minutes or so for northwestern Auglaize and northern Mercer County. Again, much of this is damaging winds. Could see some hail, but damaging winds are definitely the big threat. And as you can kind of see here, here's kind of our cell. So we have a cell here that's probably developing a little bit. We have this big amoeba cell here, and we have this cell out here. So we have 3 cells kind of in a line, right? Kind of draw it like that. Everything's just kind of south of that line. So I said there's like a boundary here. There's something, because this stuff is moving more easterly or almost northeasterly. This stuff is driving more southeasterly. So it's possible we have like some sort of stalled out boundary of here, some sort, and that's what everything is moving along. And again, that's why I've been kind of talking about that flash flood threat there, which we have here. We'll probably see a little bit more of that as we go through the overnight. A couple more inches of rain in some spots easily possible, and could certainly drive things up. But I'll also have multiple cells, so with this multi-cell line, right? Kind of keep things simple in the world of meteorology. So that's kind of what we're dealing with down here in the New Lexington area and Perry County. Let me zoom in down there just real quick. This is more just a single cell by itself. We do have some little showers and things around it, but it's kind of more of a cell by itself. It's kind of getting organized. That's going to head into Morgan County towards McConnellsville eventually, likely on in the parts of southern Noble and northern Washington counties. Will it be severe? I would not be surprised if they issued a severe weather thunderstorm warning out ahead of it, but it has the potential for that where it's a fairly mature cell, looks pretty nice. Probably some damaging winds and maybe some hail with that one for sure. But other than that, it's going to be a lot of heavy rain as well. So yeah, it's certainly possible that they could warn that later on down the road. That would not be surprising at all. So if you do see something, you're in that area, and you do see something pop up, yeah, don't be too surprised by it. That's what's coming, and it will continue to kind of sustain itself there, probably for the next hour or so easily, without much of an issue. Even though the atmosphere was a little worked over from earlier this afternoon, again, still a lot of instability, a lot of moisture to work with here. So it will likely, that's not really going to matter. It will likely just easily overcome any of that and continue to kind of sustain itself at this point through the evening. Took a couple showers and storms here west of Wheeling along I-70 there in Belmont County, southern Harrison County as well along, was at the 22. And then we got a couple cells here in and around Ross County and everything like that. So, and up here in northwestern Ohio, again, we do have some of the showers and storms up here, non-severe. Not really seeing much of anything develop back across northern Indiana, so it's going to be pretty quiet once these cells move out of the area. And then we will see what happens comes early tomorrow morning and into the day on Tuesday. So definitely stay with us through Tuesday. We'll do our best to cover things. Timing of the day is going to make it tough to do a live unless we have somebody around. I'm not entirely sure if we have somebody around right now. You think a tornado happened in Marion? Yeah, there's going to be a tornado in Marion. You'll never hear me go on the record and say that. All right? I mean, seriously. No, I can't. I'll tell you what, if I could say, yeah, there's a tornado that's going to happen in Marion, and I could figure out how to take that technology and that knowledge and sell it, I wouldn't be here. I would be filthy rich. It'd be great. Okay, well, I'm not that selfish, but I can't tell you that. I can tell you right now, nothing's spinning out here. There's nothing that's telling me there's going to be a potential for a tornado anytime soon. So I hope that's good for you, because I can certainly tell you that. I can certainly tell you there's no tornado warning for Marion County. It is severe thunderstorm warning. There's no tornado warning. Nothing here is indicative of showing anything rotating that would lead me to suggest that, yeah, you know what, let's keep an eye on this because this might actually do something. Nope, none of that. Tornado threat super duper low tonight. So no. So if that helps, and I hope you can go to bed and sleep, that's great. But you're going to get 2 more rounds of showers and storms moving through overnight. Could be severe with some strong winds, because that goes all the way back to Salina, and that is all headed towards the Marion area. Some of it will likely pass south, and it could be weaker by the time it gets there too. But yeah, that's that's what we're looking at there. Nothing serious for Cincinnati. Cincinnati, your threat's more tomorrow. All right, folks. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start wrapping things up here. Again, we do have the severe weather warnings in effect there, but we covered. But otherwise, I think we've covered enough of what's on here tonight, and it hasn't really changed much. You guys are I know you're gonna keep throwing city names in here. We see this all the time on our chats. Y'all throw your city names in, hoping I'll pick up on it. And one last chance, one last hurrah round it. This is why I don't do that typically, because this is what happens. You just keep me on all night. Again, I have a job I have to work tomorrow too. So I can't really do all of that. Apologize, but I'm one guy. Otherwise, again, we'll try our best to be around tomorrow to do things. We will be able to share things on social media. We do have stuff that posts there pretty regularly, which is good. Download that free Ohio News and Weather app. It's on Google and Apple. You'll get alerts as they come out. You can view the radar. You can view the hourly forecast. I don't know if I'd put a ton of trust into it right now with this setup, because, again, everything's so changeable. So that is going to change a lot. So take it with a grain of salt. On that one. That's kind of a limitation of technology. But definitely the radar and the alerts are certainly worth that free app download. We don't really tons of ads or anything like that. You're not going to get tons of pop-ups of things. So really a nice app to have. Works really wonderful. And of course, if you like what we do, consider donating to us as well. You can go to our website, ohioniewsandweather.com, or bellparkmedia.com. It will take you there as well. If you have that one bookmarked, and there's a link towards the bottom of the page if you'd like to donate to us. We greatly appreciate it. Definitely helps us provide better coverage, covers things for us to use to be able to provide that coverage to you, and supports a good cause overall. You know, we try our best we can to do the coverage that we do. It's not always perfect. Sometimes we're just not around to do it, but we do appreciate any support you can give us. If you can't do anything, you know what? Follow us on Facebook, on subscribe to our YouTube channel, and just interact with us there, and we appreciate that as well. So, forecaster Mark Spencer here, going to sign it off for tonight, and definitely stay safe tomorrow. And we'll do our very best to keep you informed as to what's happening throughout the day. Have a great night.